Good morning, everybody, and welcome on this bright sunny day to quick lesson 20. We've been looking at seventh chords over the past week, and I just want to show the versatility of those seventh chords and how it can help us to, perhaps for some of you, learn a new skill, and for others just reinforce the the importance of bar chords. We can play seventh chords in a number of ways, but because of their versatility, because they actually have 4 notes in them as opposed to the normal chords we would play which only have 3, they're called open chords, and we play them typically in the first 2-3 frets of the ukulele. With a seventh chord, we have a 4th note in it. So that immediately opens up some new things for us. It means we can actually play all of the strings, right, in other positions on the fretboard, which is great for us if you want to do that. So this is an introduction briefly to bar chords, and for those of you who are new to it, then stick with it. It is a skill worth learning. If you do already do it, then great. It's time to to put the bar chords into your playing as well, so you don't lose the skill. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just simply start with our tried and trusted C7. Okay. So we're going to start with C7. I'm going to start to learn a pattern for C7. You'll hear me talk about patterns quite quite a lot, because as we move up the fret, or the sound is getting higher, then it's more important for us to really move away from saying it has to be this finger, that finger, etc. It's more about the patterns, and when you're making these patterns, then it's really important that you understand there's no right or wrong way. Just because I show you one way doesn't mean to say that is the way you've got to do it. If it works another way for you, then please do it. For example, today I've talked about using our second finger, but in reality, you could actually use your third finger if that's more comfortable for you. I didn't want to start putting in you can do this or you can do that in the quick lesson sheet, because it just gets confusing. But it's easy for me to just say whatever works for you is fine. There is no right or wrong in it. I will use the second finger today, but by all means you use whichever fingers are comfortable for you. All right, so what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to make a normal C7, but we're going to make it with our second finger. Just bear with me with second finger at the moment. Okay, so that's a C7, right? Normally you would do it with this finger, but we're actually going to do it with our second finger. Why? Well, because we're going to use this finger to make the bar. Okay, so what I want you to do is to make that C7. You're comfortable with that. It might feel a bit awkward because it's your second finger, right? Feel quite right, but it will after a while. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this bar over the nut, right? So it's not affecting the strings, it's just laying on top of the nut. You can see it doesn't make any difference to the sound. Why do we do it? Well, because now we're going to start sliding our hand down. So we've got our bar all ready to go. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So lay your first finger across the nut, and if you're not too sure, the nut is the bit right at the top where all the strings come through. That's called the nut. Right, so we're going to lay our finger across. That's our normal C7. Now if we slide our fingers down 1 fret, or should I say up, apologies, and allow our first finger to follow, right? Our first finger actually then lies right across the first fret. Our second finger, which is where the C7 was, is now on the second fret. Now if you've got the pressure right, you'll get that sound. Okay, you might need to, if it's new to you and something which is awkward, then it's finding the amount of pressure you need to put on this bar. Right, this is where your thumb becomes very, very important, because that's what's applying the pressure, behind your finger. So you're sort of pinching, with these two, the strings. Now I found that when you're making a bar, you can actually come pretty close to almost being on top of the fret. Right, it's not quite like playing a guitar where you sort of need to be like quarter of a way back. It actually works better by getting the pressure on if your finger is almost over the fret, not back here, right, but almost over it, not onto the next fret, but just on top of it. Okay, have a go and see if you can get a clean sound. You might not, first of all, a C sharp 7. Now you're not going to come across that very often, but you might actually find it in a passing way from coming from one chord to another, i.e. from C, through C7, through C sharp 7 to C. You could find that, but it's a chord nonetheless. It is a C sharp 7. Now this is where the patterns come in, or the shapes. Right, that shape that we started off up here on the nut, it's still a shape, even though we never actually see it, because we're only playing. We're using the nut for our finger in reality for that C7, and we always have done. That's always what's going on. Right, the nut is becoming the finger for the C7. As soon as we move down, remember we've got 4 strings in a 7th chord, right? We can't just play the strings that way, because it is actually a chord, to be fair, but it isn't appropriate for a 7th chord. So in a 7th chord, we have to make sure that we've raised the pitch of all of the strings by exactly the same amount, and that's hence the bar. That's what the bar does. Okay, so C sharp 7 is where we are now. Then we go again, right? Slide down again, keeping the shape. So shape, patterns, that's what we're doing, right? Move it down again. Now we get an interesting chord, and we get a very, very relevant chord to us, because it's a D7. Right, if you normally play D7 Hawaiian way, which is the 2-finger either side of the C string, this is a D7. It's a fuller sound, right, and obviously has different notes in it, but it's still nonetheless a D7. So that's vital to us. That's important. So we found another way, just by simply barring, to play a D7 chord. So we've got 2 alternatives now. We could do that. Okay, now both D7 chords, and you might mix it up in a song. Other people might be playing the. You might want to go. Okay, so we get a mixture of sound. Okay, so we get a mixture of sound. All right. Hopefully that sort of makes sense when we come down. The reason why we're using a 2nd finger or a 3rd finger, it's up to you, which one you use, is so that we can make the bar. Now my preference would, to be honest, would be, and you'll see me default to it, would actually be to use my 3rd finger. It allows me to put pressure onto the barring finger, right, with my 2nd finger. It also has another advantage in that if I was playing D7 and I'm going to C, then all I've got to do is lift my fingers. I'll have a normal C. which allows me then to go in the normal way to a a normal triad chord. Okay, but find out which is best for you. Second finger's fine, because you can make that move in any case. Now what I want to know is, we're playing a D7. You might not get it clean at the moment, so don't worry about that. The principles are the more important things this morning. If that's a D7, if we were to go 2 frets down from that D7, so either your second or your third finger, whichever way you do it, is on the 5th fret with the bar on the 4th fret, what chord do we have? Does anyone know? Okay, well done. Yeah. All right. Well done, Jeff and Sheila. Yes, that's an E7. So just by using a shape, right, the shape that we learned for our C, going to D7, going 2 frets more, we've got an alternative to E7. Okay, so the same principle applies. Some people can be playing E7 that I would call first position. Some people could be playing E7 on a second position. Okay, so thumbs up if that sort of makes sense. It doesn't matter if you didn't quite manage the bar. If it's first time, you won't, unless you're extremely lucky. And it's a little bit like sort of playing golf. You'll hit a fantastic shot. Just because you get it first time around doesn't mean to say it always will be. Okay, it will come if you want it to. If you want to do it and you practice it, then it will become natural to you to actually do it. If you don't, then this is an interesting lesson, and maybe it's for another day for you. Okay, so we've moved around, and obviously you can do it backwards. So if I did it from the E7 on the 5th fret, okay, so you get that descending. Now you see that when I was coming down from the E7, that very ironic sort of sound you get on comedy programs where something has gone wrong. Da, 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 da. Okay, we might be able to build some of that into some of the songs, and in particular, the sort of songs where that's likely to work would be sort of 1920s types of songs, where that might be a passing set of chords to get from one major chord to another major chord. All right, so it has a lot of uses to it, but there are two things I would like you to sort of take away, and that is one, when we use a bar chord, we're actually using a shape, right? So get away from thinking always of chords of, well, my fingers have to go here, because there are many other shapes, and you could play E7 many other ways, and the shape would be different depending on where we're actually playing it on the fret, or which key we're in, to be honest. So next week I'll just explore this once more, right? I promise you, and then I will leave it alone, right? And we'll move on to something else. But just to expand your chord vocabulary, so that you're playing sevens. Those of you who are joining us for the for the blues course, seventh chords will be absolutely fundamental to it. So we look forward to that. Okay, so unless there are any sort of questions, take away from this, if it's the first time barring, welcome to barring chords, and please do stick with it, because it will not be easy to start off with, and you will very easily default to giving up, because you can be comfortable playing chords anyway. So I'll always do that. But that's sort of missing the point. You know, you can push yourself a little bit further, and it just helps our sound when we're all together, for people to be playing different patterns, different shapes, different places on the neck of playing chords. Okay, so thank you very much for for tuning in. See, not a lot of theory in today. Okay, so many thanks. I'm going to close off now, and I will see you in 10 minutes for our session, when hopefully other people will join us. So thanks once again for tuning in. Okay, see you soon.